Hi, today we're going to show you how to brew a dry stout. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to steep our specialty grains, which I've already put in my bags. And what I have in here is 13 ounces of roasted barley. I have 6 ounces of chocolate malt. I have 5 ounces of Kerstin malt and 3 ounces of Munich malt. So now that I put my specialty grains in my muslin bag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up water to 154 degrees, and it's going to be 1.5 gallons of water. We're going to steep these grains for 25 minutes, and then we are going to go ahead and add our malt. So the first thing we're going to do is check our temperature in the water, make sure that it is right around 154 to 160 degrees. And I'll pull my thermometer out right there. So once that is at the desired temperature, we're going to come over here and get our muslin bags. We're going to take these over to the stove, place each one of them in the pot slowly. Make sure that you don't squeeze the bags. Try not to get any of the grain husks into the water, because that can cause some haze and some harsh flavors. So just set them down nice and easy like that. Make sure you're able to keep your temperature at about 154. It's okay if you fluctuate a couple degrees. Go ahead and set our timer. We're going to do this for 25 minutes. There we go. And now we're just going to stir the pot gently. Make a tea out of these grains. Try and get as much flavor and color out of these grains. We're going to do this for 25 minutes, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, 25 minutes later, we've been steeping at right around 154, 156 degrees. You can see how our water here is completely dark. That's what we're going for. We're brewing a stout. Get rid of this for a second. Okay, so now, once you're done steeping, first thing you want to do is remove your pot from the heat. Then you want to grab your strainer, take one bag out, and set it on the strainer and just leave it there draining. Some people just let them drain. I like to take some hot water that's right around 170 degrees, 160 I mean, and just rinse off the bag as much as I can. So you're going to do this for about 5 minutes. Just rinse off as much as you can, and after that you're going to top off your pot with, we're going to top it off with 4 gallons of water. We're going to bring it to a boil, and then we're going to add our DME. Once we top off with water, we're going to go ahead and add our DME. And we've got 6 pounds of, this is just plain light dry malt extract from Muntons. So just pour and stir. Okay. So once you throw in all your DME, all you got to do is just push all that DME down so it gets wet and stir it up until it dissolves. Stir it up for a little bit, and then you'll be bringing this up to a boil. Okay, so we'll do this. We'll put the cover on so it comes up to a boil faster, and we'll come back after that. Our wort is just coming to a boil right now. So first thing I want to do is make sure that this thing doesn't boil over. So I gotta really watch the level, especially when you have a pot that's pretty full. I'm gonna turn down the heat a little bit, control the boil, and then I'm gonna be adding my 60-minute hops, and we'll start counting down our time. You normally want your boil to be a slow rolling boil. You don't want this to be jumping all over the place or it's just splashing you in the face. So for our bittering hops, we're going to take 3/4 of an ounce of Centennial pellet hops. Those 3/4 of an ounce of Centennial pellet hops. We're going to start our timer, 60 minutes, and we're going to be adding 1/4 of an ounce of Columbus pellet hops 30 minutes into the boil. For now, just need to make sure that this thing doesn't boil over. I need to control the boil. It is time to add our 30-minute hops. This is roughly 0.25, it's actually more like 0.3 ounces of Columbus hops. We're gonna throw this in here, right about there. Stir them in. And now we get to wait again. So grab a beer, do whatever. We'll come back in 15 minutes. 15 minutes later, we are gonna add 1/2 ounce of Willamette hops. As usual, stir in all the hops. And once again, we wait, finish our beer, and we'll be time to cool this down and we'll be pretty much done for the day. 60 minutes have gone by, so now it's time to take our spoon out of the pot. I'm going to place the cover, and we are going to take our pot and we're going to place it in an ice bath. Just like that. Now we're going to cool this as fast as we can, and then we're going to pitch our yeast, and we'll be done. Alright, we are right about 65, 68 degrees, so I think we're good to throw our wort into our fermenter, and then we will be pitching our yeast. Once we throw our wort in there, we want to top it off with water to about 5 gallons. Okay, right about there. Use a flashlight, helps you see through the foam. And we want to mix this up a little bit. This helps it aerate it as well. Okay, we're going to grab about 1/2 cup and use that to take a gravity reading. Right about that much. Tastes pretty good. Now that we've checked our gravity reading, make sure that we are not too high. I'm going to take our yeast, which we prepared yesterday. You can see all the sediment there, so we're going to decant or separate the liquid from the yeast. Do as much as you can. Let's just start into the yeast, and just take that, stir it up. That's going to be your yeast going right in there. Okay, as soon as you pitch your yeast, you're going to take your cover and you're going to place that on top. And we're going to shake this bucket, mix in all that yeast, make sure they get enough air. Now we're going to take this to our fridge so we can ferment it. We'll put our airlock and we'll be done. We're going to place our fermenter in our fridge, put in the airlock, and we're going to leave this fermenting for 3 weeks, and then we're going to bottle it. Okay, so the beer has been conditioning for a little bit over 3 weeks, been actually closer to 4 weeks. And I haven't had any friends who've had any time off to come over and do beer tasting with me. So I'm gonna have to sacrifice and drink all my beer by myself, which I really don't mind. So anyways, this is the dry stout that we brewed. And if you remember from the recipe, this isn't exactly pitch black stout like most people expect to be a dry stout to be, and that is because I also included some caramel chocolate malts along with my recipe. And normally if you want a pitch black stout, like an actual dry stout like Guinness style, you really don't want to use anything else other than your regular dry malt extract and dry roasted barley. Now, since I included caramel malt and chocolate malt in this one, it'll still be pretty dark, but if you put it towards the light, you'll see kind of like dark brown. It's a little bit lighter color, so it's not exactly pitch black. So anyways, let me go ahead and take a little sip. Beer is good. It has pretty much everything that you want to look for in a stout. The chocolate flavor is very subtle. Caramel, you can't really notice it that much, and the dry roasted barley stands out, making the beer somewhat dry, although not as dry as if you were to use nothing but dry roasted barley. I think the carbonation levels are just perfect. I think we used 3 ounces of corn sugar, if I remember right, and that gives it enough carbonation to make the beer drinkable, to bring out the aromas. And any more carbonation, I think, will probably make the beer feel a little bit watery, and it's just not going to taste very good. So overall, the beer came out pretty good. And if you follow the recipe and brew the beer following the video, I'd like to know what you think of the beer, and see if you can get the same results. One more thing. The bitterness in the beer is not too strong. It's not too subtle. It's actually balancing the body of the beer very well. And I think I don't think there's anything that I will be changing on this recipe as far as this specific style, which is, I think this is more of a porter stout-ish beer, but it falls under the dry stout category, according to the BJCP guidelines. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next video.